honored to be so. So thank you all for being here. Today is November, I can't believe it, 6th, and we do record our meetings. They're on YouTube, and our channel is Norman Rotary Club. So we're going to take a moment of silence to reflect or pray. Okay, our flag salute today is by Holly Kepler, and four-way test is Greg Heaton.
Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, will you join me in the four-way test? First, is it the
Truth is a fair law concern. Will it build goodwill in every churches? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Will it be fun?
Of course it will be fun, always. Okay, we have several visitors today, and I'm going to begin by introducing our District Governor, Michael Ridgway. We're honored you're joining us today. Thanks for being here. Elliot Springer has a guest.
So I have a colleague from Clubhouse. I have a colleague from Clubhouse. Her name is Teresa Fields. She is currently employed at the Cleveland County Courthouse as a court clerk. Is there anything else you want me to say? Okay. Teresa.
I want to thank Elliot for hosting us last week at Edward Clubhouse. It was a great meeting. Glad we got to do that, and thank you for organizing that. Joe Foot has a guest.
My guest is John Pocket, who's Director of Development for All Saints School. And back in the good old days, he was Assistant Dean of Gaylord College. Did a terrific job.
And November begins our first student of the month. So Rebecca Delsey, would you please introduce our student?
So this was a really great opportunity just to serve on the committee, to be able to go through all the applicants and see what they've done. So I want to introduce Macy, and can you help me with the last name? Febrick. And this is her mom, Wendy, and Chris, her dad. So I'm going to have Macy tell us where she's from and what she plans on doing after graduation.
Hi, I'm Macy Febrick. I'm a senior at Norman High. I'm involved in Tiger Crew, which is a freshman mentor program at Norman High, and DECA, which is like a business leadership organization. And for my future, I hope to do something in business or maybe something in medical, and hopefully go to you.
We're really happy to have your parents with us today, too. You're welcome anytime this summer. A couple of quick announcements. Craig, you got one?
Yes, we're going to have another book fair this weekend. It's Saturday and Sunday at Barnes & Noble. There it is, right there. So you can read that. We need more help. We have a number of people that normally help us out that are actually out of town this weekend. So there's a number of slots that are available. So go on and sign up. That'd be great. Starts at 10. Starts at 9 on Saturday, goes to 9 o'clock at night, and it's 10 to 8 on Sunday. So anytime during those. But we have few shifts still plenty available. So thank you.
Wait, what do you do?
Oh, it's pretty easy. You scan it, it's inside. That's a good thing. When people come in the door, you give a bookmark and ask them to give it to them when they check out. They're donate a portion of the proceeds to our fundraiser. And we usually raise between $4,000 and $5,000 on it. So it's a pretty easy gig, and we ask for 2-hour shifts. But if you want to do 1 hour, that's fine.
Just a reminder that November 8th is our district day of service, so please go to the sign-up duties that you should have received in your email and try to help us out. Thanks. A couple of just quick announcements. We gave our first e-readers away last week. That like to be on that committee. We're having our first real committee meeting next Thursday, right after the meeting. So some of you I know have already expressed an interest in that, and you've gotten an email from me. But if you would like to join that committee, please let me know, or just stay after the meeting next week. A couple of Paul Harris exciting things. Mr. Wood?
Thank you. Yeah, when you're a Paul Harris Fellow of the Rotary Foundation, you have become a member of something that is so big in the world that it's been voted the #1 foundation in the world many times. It's always in the top, so it's something to be very proud of. There are a lot of things we do. I'm not going to go over those right now, but there are members in this club that just continue to give to the foundation. There's 2 ways to receive a Paul Harris Fellow, and one is to continue to give. So we have one member that has done that, and I would like to have Judy Knapp, who is sitting right behind me, come up here. Judy is a Paul Harris +2, so the foundation thanks you, my friend. Okay. Thank you. And the other way to become a Paul Harris Fellow is you can honor people with a Paul Harris Fellow. I've done that with my wife and my daughter and others. And so we have one member today that is being honored. So Elliot Springer, come on up here. It's for the service that you've done in Rotary so far, and not just being a lunch, or not just coming, but actually becoming involved. So congratulations on your Paul Harris Fellow. You've been honored. Congratulations. Okay.
Thank you. Congratulations to both of our Harris Fellows. Okay, it is my pleasure I'm going to actually introduce our member, Corey Doggett, and he's going to introduce our guest speaker today. So please welcome Corey up here.
Thank you, Liz. We have with us today Major Paul Ryerson. He was commissioned as a Salvation Army officer in 2010. His first assignment was in El Paso, Texas, where he served until 2014 as a lieutenant. He was then transferred to Dallas, Texas, where he was given the rank of captain. And he served in Dallas for 2 years until receiving transfer orders to Bryan College Station area in 2016, where he was working closely with Texas A&M University in establishing an official Salvation Army student organization called the Aggie Salvation Army. In 2020, orders came for him to be transferred to lead the work in the Salvation Army of Gwinnett County. That's where I actually met him and his lovely wife. But it was the largest county in the state of Georgia. In 2025, he received orders that brought him back west to serve as the area commander of Central Oklahoma, giving him the rank of major. Though born in Lubbock, Paul grew up in the Permian Basin around the Big Spring area, Texas. He's the 3rd generation in his family to be with the Salvation Army and the first to be a commissioned officer. His education includes a Bachelor of Arts from the Salvation Army School of Officers Training in Atlanta, Georgia, where he received 2 awards, the school's Top Musician Award and the Principal's Award. He also has a Bachelor's in Practical Christian Ministry from Tribeca Nazarene University in Nashville, Tennessee. He is a graduate of Aero Leadership Academy in Vancouver, Canada. He is a faithful Rotarian and a fellow Paul Harris. In his free time, Paul coaches youth baseball, and his family has a goal to visit every MLB stadium by the time his son graduates from high school. His son actually plays baseball right here in Norman. Paul and his wife Annalise are ordained officers and ministers of the Salvation Army and have answered the call to be officers. They have 2 children, Josh, who is 11, who loves baseball, and Eleanor, she is 8, She tolerates baseball, but her thing is gymnastics, so here's the major. Well, good afternoon. Yeah, well, 2 of you believe that, so yeah. It's good to see you all. Thank you for having me here in the Mormon Rotary Club. This is my first time attending this club because I just moved here. I moved here in June from Gwinnett County, Georgia. That's northeast of Atlanta, so that's where I've been for the last 5 years, or as I like to call the mission field there. And then back on this side of the Mississippi, where I grew up. So I'm very excited to be back toward this direction. And as already mentioned, I am a very active Rotarian myself, and so I am honored to have received the invitation to come and speak to this club. When I moved here at the end of June, I've been a Rotarian now for about 10 years. I was active in the Bryan College Station Rotary Club, in the Gwinnett County Club, and then now, as of last Tuesday, just 2 days ago, because it took a little time at that club, but I became a member of Club 29 in downtown Oklahoma. My office is in downtown, so that's the club where I just joined, and Corey was able to join me for that, and I said, I'll see you in 2 days, and I'm going to go down here and go to a club that I'm actually quite used to coming to on a regular basis for 10 years, which is we know each other. Because if you've been at Club 29, it's a little big. I'm still kind of getting my mind around that. But as I was sitting here, and I speak this as a Rotarian, as I'm sitting here, I hear the fellowship in the room, and just the camaraderie, and hey, how's it going at work, and all that. And I'm going to tell you that there's something really special about that. So if you're here today kind of checking out Rotaries, I'm telling you, lean in, you will not regret this. That's my Rotary plug, and now I'm going to put on my Salvation Army hat, and we'll go from there. So before I jump in and say anything here, I actually want to just say a quick thank you to a few folks in this room. Because as I was sitting here in the room, there was a few faces that I recognized, and we have a few board members who serve on the Salvation Army Board here in Norman. And if you serve on our board, would you just raise your hand for me? See Phil there? Yes, and Kurt. And if you don't know, now Phil has been on our board, was it 18? Oh, no, I'm just kidding. It was 1993. 1993. Phil's been with the Salvation Army for a long time. And Phil, I want to say thank you. Thank you. And Kurt over here is, if you don't know this, he's actually the acting chair on the board right now. And so he's chairing the board and helping collect strategic vision on where we're going to go. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. But I want to say thank you to both of you for your service to the Salvation Army. And of course, to our local officer here, Lieutenant Corey and his wife Mandy, who have been serving now 2 years. You're on your third year here, fresh out of the training college, so this is their first assignment. And they have just come in and hit this community, and we're very proud of them. So you got one of our really good ones right here in Norman. Now what my role is, I'm what's called the area commander. So what that means is that I'm kind of the next administrative level up, and I oversee the 5 central counties in central Oklahoma. So under my command, I have Logan, Canadian, Oklahoma, Cleveland, and McLean counties is where I operate and I oversee. My office is in downtown Oklahoma City off of Penn and 10. That's kind of fun to roll off the tongue, Penn and 10. Kind of sounds like they're in New York City when you do that, but Penn and 10, and that's where our office is at. And we call that the Area Command. And the Area Command shares an office space with our social operations that are in Oklahoma City. So we kind of just share a little bit of space there. And so you may know, what is it, someone had mentioned it's already November. You may have kind of, with the weather outside and the leaves are changing colors, that there is a season that is coming very soon. And that's going to be here before you know it. And that is going to be called Christmas. Yes. is here, friends. It's Christmas time. And I know you know this because sitting right over here, there's an elf cup. I can see it. Yes, I know. It's when elf comes out to play, we know Christmas is here. And so the time is upon us. And actually, we're going to be hearing the bells of Christmas officially in Cleveland County starting November the 14th. So that's next Friday. Now, I'm going to tell you a secret, okay? Don't tell me. I'm going to tell you a secret. When the bells go out, I promise you're going to think that those guys are out really early this year. Man, they're out really early. I'm going to tell you a secret. It's the same day every year. It's the same day every year. It's no magic or anything like that. It's always 2 Fridays before Thanksgiving. That's always the day. So that's when the bells are going to go out here in Cleveland County and all across central Oklahoma. Is going to be on November the 14th, and you will be hearing the sounds of Christmas. And I'm going to talk about that also just here in a moment. But I want to just share a little bit about, kind of some of the programs and services that we offer across central Oklahoma, but also particularly right here in Norman as well. Norman does hold a special place in my heart in the 4 months that I've actually been living in central Oklahoma. This is because I actually live in what I would call deep south more. I pull out of my little subdivision and 2 stop signs down, I'm in Norman. So I'm right there. So pretty much my family spends all of our time here in Norman. My kid plays baseball right here at Reeves Park. He's 11 years old, and when we moved here, we got on a team, I've lived my life at Reeves Park, and I've actually, Kurt does too, if you don't know that, his boy plays out there. And so he plays ball here, we shop here, we play here. Norman has kind of almost become kind of our family home. And so Norman has a very close, deep place to my family, to our heart. And tonight, in fact, once we're done, we're going to be going back. I'll get the kids from school. And then once we've got them, we're going to be driving right back to Norman and going to Bible study at the Salvation Army in Norman. Because every Thursday night, the lieutenant here leads a Bible study at our shelter that's here in Norman to all the residents who are staying who choose to want to participate in that. And he teaches that, and his wife teaches that too. And my wife and I and our 2 kids, we come in and join in on that as well. And so this is also a part of our our worshiping community as well. So Norman means a lot to me. And I want to kind of share a little about some of the programs and some of the things. And we've been around for a long time. In fact, I'll ask the good lieutenant here, do you know what year did we come into Norman? 1892. 1892. Were you here, Phil, for that? No, okay. I was just checking. You looked like you were fact checking them, so I want to make sure. So yeah, so 1890. So that predates statehood, as the Salvation Army was operating in Norman. And it's actually the same in Oklahoma City. The Salvation Army came into Oklahoma City around 1891, and we set up in what would be now downtown. And we had a little bit kind of like a tent kind of thing that we were operating out of, but that's where we began. And so the Salvation Army has been in Oklahoma since before statehood, and has been serving our communities ever since then. Now, a little kind of fun fact for you, as I'm going through and I'm looking through our historical records now that I'm here, it was interesting that when Oklahoma City became a city much later on, they had this thing called a community chest. It wasn't just in the Monopoly game, it was a real thing. Community chest, that predates the United Way, which kind of took over the community chest. But the community chest is where the city would allocate funding to nonprofits, organizations, and they would allocate funding to them. One of the very first allocations from the Oklahoma City, once they became a city, they were actually, chartered an actual city. In the community chest, the first check they cut was to the Salvation Army. And that was so we can build an actual permanent building and structure to operate out of. And that was the first gift that the city made. Now, for a long time, our main offices were located in downtown Oklahoma City, and they were where today, in modern day, is Scissor Trail Park. If you know Scissor Trail Park, that area right there, that was the Salvation Army. That was us. And then the city said, about 15 years ago, the city said, okay, it was the mayor at the time, and he actually had a vision on what he wanted downtown Oklahoma to look like. And so he said he encouraged all of the agencies that were providing some type of social relief service to consider moving to the western part of Oklahoma City. And I set up shop there and operate out of the west side of town. And it just so happened that we at the time, the Salvation Army, were looking to enter into a capital campaign to our facilities were needing some love. I mean, we've been there for a while. And we said, okay, we will take that up and we'll be looking for property over here. Now we come to find out that the mayor at the time was encouraging us to do that because he wanted to build a really nice park. I don't blame him, he's a mayor, that's what his job is. He's wanted to look at the economic, stability of downtown, and he thought, if I can get all the social agencies to move into this one area, that also would mean that people who are needing those services would also migrate to that certain area, but they would all be next to each other, whether we can get services and no one had to travel very far. We'd all kind of be collectively together. Fast forward to now, 2025, that's what's happening. So if you go to actually Pennsylvania Avenue in 10th and downtown Oklahoma City, you're going to see about 5 actual major social service agencies all within one block of each other. And that's the reason why. And there are 4 Mr. Shelters, and all the shelters do serve different purposes and reasons, but we are one of the largest shelters, and as of right now, the Salvation Army in central Oklahoma, and particularly at that property in downtown, we're the largest landowner in western Oklahoma City. So we own 22 acres there at that corner. We're only sitting and using 10 acres of it right now for our shelter and social operation, but fortunately, the leaders before me were strategic thinkers ahead, got the property so that we can see what the future needs of our community could be, and then we can grow and expand as the needs become revealed. And right now, we're in those conversations with our city in Oklahoma City and even the state to say, what are some good strategic use of this property and this land, and as far as even transitional housing or other areas like that. But in Oklahoma City, I know that's way up there, I wanted you to know that the services being provided at that level in Oklahoma City are also being provided down here in Norman. And so some of the things that you'll see here, let's kind of pull this up here, are what I would call probably staple services that the Salvation Army might be known for, and some of them are across the Oklahoma City area, but I wanted you to see these from my level at the area command level, is that we have food pantries across central Oklahoma, including Norman. We have rent and utility assistance, so what we like to call this is homeless prevention. A lot of times people may see the Salvation Army as I'm homeless, now where do I go, what do I do? But we also do prevention. So rent and utility assistance, trying to keep you from not getting out of the home. Residential services, those are our shelters. So we have 2 of those in central Oklahoma. The one in Oklahoma City, where my office is at, and the one right here in Norman. So there's a shelter right here. Those are the 2 that we have in central Oklahoma. And I'm going to speak on the shelter here a little later on. Let's see if I stand back, maybe that'll help out. And then we have senior centers. We have 4 senior centers throughout central Oklahoma. These are places where the seniors can go and receive a meal, and they can fellowship, and they can spend time with each other. We have 4 of those throughout central Oklahoma. We have a Red Shield Youth Center. There's this thing of this, kind of like a Boys and Girls Club. It's a youth center where the kids can come, and they after school programming, summer day camps, sports, all that sort of thing. The neat thing about that is our youth center has been on 44th Street in Oklahoma. Actually, it's just right up here. Nope, that way, up 44th Street. And that's been there since the 1940s. Kids have been going there and experiencing youth programming. And then one thing that I would probably say, particularly in Oklahoma, we might be known for is our emergency disaster services. So this is, of course, when we're a tornado, or probably don't see a whole lot of hurricanes over here. I saw a lot of those in Georgia and even in Texas. But a lot here we're going to be dealing with tornadoes, fires, these sorts of things. But we have an entire
mobile fleet of vehicles that we will deploy. And in fact, the picture you're seeing right there behind is was an EF5 tornado that took place in Moore. And that was going through there all those 10 or 12 years ago now. And so we, as a big component, a big piece of what we do is emergency disaster services. And we have summer camps. We actually have a summer camp here in Oklahoma. We send kids to. They get to go up, spend a week up at camp, and they get to experience the outdoors and all the outdoor activities and shooting a bow and arrow and all these other sort of things. But we have Salvation Army Summer Camp that we send kids to. Christmas, of course, and we have 2 programs for that. We have the Red Kettle Campaign, and then we have our Angel Tree program. That's our toy assistance program for the kids. And then we offer worship. That's a big piece of our identity and who we are, is that every single Salvation Army is also a place of worship. And so we hold services there on Sunday and Bible studies, and every Salvation Army officer, that's us in these uniforms here, every one of us are ordained ministers. And so that's an organizational department, and so every officer is ordained, and they lead the local Salvation Army. And so we're also pastors of those facilities. And you may not even know this, but down at the Norman location here, the lieutenant here and his wife Mandy are the pastors of that congregation, and they have about 50 or so that come and worship with them every Sunday morning. And so in addition to that, he's preaching on Sunday morning, running the social operation, making sure the shelter is ready, helping individuals who are really needing an extra hand. They're there every day for that. Food assistance, utility, rent, all the emergency disaster. Him and his wife are very much so involved in that and leading that. But then on Sunday morning, he's preaching a sermon. Someone's in the hospital. He's the pastor that's going to visit them. And so I want to commend my friend Tori for what you do. I really appreciate what you do, Corey, for the Salvation Army, for your community too. And so with that, I want to just kind of really just hone in a little bit. And I want to talk about 2 things. So that's kind of the broad stripe. There's the brush, right? We just kind of, here it is. There's a lot of stuff. I actually asked my team when I first got here, I said, okay, I want to know how many programs do we actually do across central Oklahoma? And so we did an inventory, and they got working and said, okay, let's take a look at it. And they came back to me, and they said, okay, Major, this is that, if we were to add up all the programs that we offer, this is that number. We offer 70 different programs and services throughout central Oklahoma. I said, great. I said, let's put that down in writing. Let's put that, and this is what that looks like. And so all of these are programs and services that are offered, and of course Cleveland County is included in that count. But you'll see that there are various wide, including we have a drug and alcohol rehabilitation center. That right now, we have 75 men going through drug and alcohol rehabilitation that will cost them and their family $0. We will never charge them. They can stay there 6 months to a year, and they can get this type of service. I was there on Monday night, actually, with the men who were there, and we just had a guy that morning. He just came in off the street and said, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And he just came in and he integrated right into the program. We had chapel that night, and now his journey begins. And we see that all the time. And so I want to, if you don't know that that's a service that is offered by the Salvation Army, this is actually one of the longest standing social services that the Salvation Army has done over 100 years. And so if I'll just say this, if anyone in your family are male, we only take men. 2 gender rehabilitation program is very challenging. So this facility can only take men. But if you have someone in your family that's hooked, that's the guy to see is Lieutenant Corey. He can help connect those bridges, those dots, and it will always be free. We will never charge the family for that. So I just want to, but that one gets overlooked a lot, but I also know that that's, for some families, that could be the thing that's bringing forward motion. And so I just want to say that. All right, so the 2 things. Let's dive in. And I want to share with you about Christmas. Now, from my understanding, this Rotary Club goes out and rings the bell. And you go out and you stand out there and you ring, and you bring holiday cheer and smiles all to this community. And let me just say, thank you. Thank you for doing that. Right now, the Red Kettle Campaign, that's what we call this, the Red Kettle Campaign has a Guinness World Record. It has right now the record for being the longest continued nonprofit fundraiser in history. Can you remember a time in your life where there wasn't a red kettle out on Christmas in front of the stores?
Bill?
Bill, they're asking you. Or Phil? Yeah. Phil, sorry. No. They're not going to let you go on that one, right? And so, no, I can tell you right now that nobody in this room can actually remember a time where there wasn't a red kettle out in the front. And that's the reason why is that the very first Salvation Army red kettle that went out was in the year 1891.
Bill, what's that?
1891. And it was in San Francisco, California. And it was by Captain Joseph McPhee was his name. And he was in charge, much like the lieutenant here, he was in charge of a shelter. He had about 300 men in his shelter. And he only had one goal for that year, is I wanted to provide a Thanksgiving dinner to the men who were staying in the shelter. And, but he didn't have any funding, he didn't have resources. So he was trying to figure out, how can I make this happen? How can I provide a Thanksgiving meal for the men that are staying with me? And he remembered back to when he actually, before he was a Salvation Army captain, he was actually in the U.S. Navy, and he was a mess cook. And he remembered back on his ship that when he was in the kitchen cooking, that they didn't have this like little jar where the soldiers, the sailors could come and pick up their meal. They could do like a tip jar, like leave a coin or something for the mess cooks. And so he remembered, oh yeah, they used to have a little jar there that people could tip. And so he just said, I wonder if people would do that. And so he went into his kitchen and he grabbed a red cooking kettle, literally a cast iron kettle, and from his kitchen, and he dragged it down to the piers on Fisherman Wharf. If you've ever been to San Francisco, and he brought it down there. He stuck it on the ground, and he kind of just stood by it, thinking maybe people would get the gist, kind of like the Navy would just throw the coins in, right? Well, he went out on day one and actually was very unsuccessful. I mean, it was pretty down. And people were like, what is this guy doing standing next to a red cooking kettle? This guy's crazy, And so he had to go back and re-strategize on how am I going to do this? So the next day he comes out and he brings a sign with him. And the sign says, keep the pot boiling. And he just put it next to the cooking kettle. It says, keep the pot boiling. And then people started to kind of get the idea, oh. And so they started throwing their change as they were walking up and down the piers. Well, he actually, just by doing that, he raised enough money to feed all the men Thanksgiving dinner that year. And so he said, I'm going to do it again next year. And then he did it again, and then did it again. And the story goes that there was a Salvation Army officer in Boston who was on holiday in San Francisco. So he's coming out. Now he sees the captain standing by this red cast iron, keep the pot. He says, what are you doing? He goes, you're not going to believe this. He said, I stand here, people put their change in, and I get to go feed the men. He said, that's brilliant. So then he started doing it in Boston. And they did that and it kind of from there just spread out until it got to New York City. When I got to New York City, there was, this is probably the 1920s, early 30s now, so we've been doing it for a while. You've noticed there's been one component that hasn't been mentioned yet, right? And so this young, she was in her 20s, a young Salvation Army captain, female. She was standing out on the street corner in New York City, and she was doing what we've always done. We just kind of stood by. By that time, we did put it up on the chain, actually, something very similar. But you just kind of stood there and just greeted people. Well, this young Salvation Army was sick and tired of everyone ignoring her. Everyone just walking by, living in New York City. So she was happy to be standing outside a Woolridge department store. And so those aren't around much anymore, but she said, I'm going to go. She walked inside there and found, literally just to buy off the counter, a little bitty tea bell. Just a little bitty tea bell. Went right back outside and just stood by that red kettle and just started doing this. like that, the bell ringer was born. Now, what you don't see, what I see, is that the moment I started ringing the bell, you all started smiling. You know why? Because that sound put joy in you. Instantly, you felt like it was Christmas, memories of you and your family, shopping, going in and out of the store. I tell all of my bell ringers, and I tell this to my staff as well, is that over the course of time, the tradition of the Salvation Army bell ringer is that we have become responsible for ushering in the spirit of Christmas into our community. And when you hold a bell in your hand and you're ringing that bell, that smile that I just saw on all your faces, that's what you're putting on their face when they come in. And here's the neat thing, is that 100% of what is collected right here in this kettle stays in Cleveland County. It doesn't go up to Oklahoma City. It stays right here. And it's going to help the local operation, those families in that shelter and the rent utility, all the food pantry, it all stays right here. And you'll notice that this year, we're trying to be savvy, to be honest with you. Yes, we still take cash and coin and check, but we have to pay credit cards. Now, yeah. Now, not only that, you don't even have to fill anything out. You can just tap 2 seconds, and you're done. And so it's a tap and go, and then all that stays in also in Oklahoma City. And then this part right here, with the ringing and all of this sort of thing, this is a way that we can ensure that those who are in our community continue to receive help. And so the last thing I want to say, and I know I'm a Rotarian, I know what this means. I know, is this, is that about 9 years ago, the Salvation Army started the operation of looking to remodel and expand square footage of our shelter here in Norman. And I want to tell you that in the last 6 months that we've been able to find steam on that project, and that right now we have a project manager who's taking that project on, and that we're on a trajectory track to hopefully be breaking ground actually early spring on that project. And I wanted to share that with this club because I know that you've been hearing that for a long time. When I came here, I was my second week here. I walked the campus with the lieutenant, and I instantly saw within 35 seconds, we got to do this thing. We got to do this thing. And so we have found supporters, project manager. We've gained traction, and right now we're on track to actually break ground in early spring. And when that happens, we will be equally excited because it's gonna really meet some needs that our community needs at an extensive level. And so when that happens, I'd love to come sit and just have lunch and just for the groundbreaker just come and say, all right, we're getting there. So thank you very much for letting me be here today and just sharing our story with you. And Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much. For those of you who are neighbors to our club, we do ring the Salvation Army bells every year, and our great community service chair, Sean, I'm sure will be afraid to do that, and you'll hear more in the near future. So we're really excited to have you here today. Major Ryerson one more time, please. I want to thank our guest, our district governor Ridgway for being here. Our student of the month, Macy, and your parents, thank you, Wendy and Chris. And we have some visitors, Teresa and Jonah. We hope you come back. And I want to just last minute reminder, sign up for Barnes & Noble. We need your help. And let's look for ways to do good in our community this week. And we'll see you next